deal, and Terry Harrison we're speaking with, who started down Betteshanger pit in 1955.
55.
Yeah. So.
And actually, I was in my locker was next to Lester Magness.
There you go.
So I saw him on more than one occasion during the week, when I didn't say what you're doing, Lester.
Yeah.
Something like that. But to go back to the 30s, he got in with Di in a WEA class.
This is Professor Dye, and where was he professor?
He was Oxford based, but Workers' Education Association.
Yeah.
And Leicester, and you know the Welsh were always very concerned about self-education and broadening your horizons. That's why they had libraries in the clubs and things like that. Leicester started that off, and I understand he started it in the 30s.
Okay.
And it was the longest running, as far as I know, continual running WEA class under Di in this very room here.
A little aside is that WEA started its life, do you know where?
No.
In Reading, which is where we live.
That's where we come from, yeah.
So it's kind of like quite neat, really, isn't it?
And so lots of political activists and people, even Gerald Griffiths and Rita, two of our retirees now, they was from Wales, they'd come here. The old shoe cobbler, Browns, was a great supporter of that class, and that continued here until after Di's death, and he was replaced by another chap, and I think the last of it actually terminated somewhere about 1983, 84, something like that. That class.
And those classes were held here, were they, in Magness House? Yeah.
They also told me that one of the students that used to come over at times was Teddy.
Is that right?
That's what I was told.
Well, yeah, he lived in Broadstairs, didn't he?
Yeah. Because Di, make no mistake about it, he was an academic, you know, and a very well thought of man. And I say he had that relationship with the Red Dean. And I suppose from that time that Lester Magness was the main motivator of the purchase of this property. Somewhere around, I would think, 51, 52.
Yeah.
It was certainly here as Hillside House when I got here.
So when you joined in 1955 at Betteshanger, what was my granddad then? Was he just an ordinary miner? Was he
your
leader of the pit union?
He was below ground. He was a Labour MP and always very active. Going back to the 30s, and you'll find him in the Labour Party minutes about his contribution.
A Labour MP.
He was a
Labour councillor.
Labour councillor.
Yeah, not MP. Yeah.
Well, actually, he threatened to stand against David Ennals in a local election over an argument we had over fuel policy, which was very much on in the Labour Party manifesto, and he didn't consider that David Ennals. So you'll find him, I'm pretty sure, in the local Mercury, quoted as if Nestle would.
He was a union rep, though, wasn't he?
Well, we're talking about when I got here. It was a great friend of Lester's, Tudor Davis, who was the chairman, and Tudor was one of those that was imprisoned in the 1941 strike. But him and Lester was thick as thieves. And quite soon after I got here, Lester became, I think he'd been on the committee and things like that. And he also had a period, sometime I believe at the beginning of the war, where he was the manager of the canteen at the pit.
Right. How did you get to be manager of the canteen?
It was run by the canteen and the baths. It was run by a committee. It was owned by the men. and it was opened in 1934.
Okay.
So all the men employed in your
that was the cushy little number, was it? Working above ground.
Well, it was, but obviously it didn't satisfy him because he gave that up and then he went down the pit.
Okay.
And then in 55 he became, 55 onwards, he became very active as the chairman of the Betteshanger branch.
Yeah.
And for at least 1 to 2 periods was chairman of the Kent area.
I know he was president for at least 4 terms.
Yeah.
I've got a press cutting that I was just showing John about that.
Yeah. And there was one period where we got our knickers in a twist over some comments that had been made about the closure of Chiswick, and it led to Lester Magness being suspended.
Yeah.
And Bert Golding, another great friend of Lester Magness, and I went with them. The full committee went to the appeal at Euston Road, NUM.
Okay.
And I know Lester had made a great big brief, and I swear that we sat in the waiting room of the national officers, and the national executive was meeting, and Lester, they said, Mr. Magness, Mr. Golding, didn't ask us a lot of, the whole committee was there, and I swear, before that bloody door had stopped swinging, Lester was back down looking a bit crestfallen with his briefcase, appeal upheld. And but he went from there. He did so many things. He was very active on the council, chairman of the Betteshanger branch, chairman of the Kent area NUM. I have a booklet where at one time he was sent to Spain.
Well, that was one of the press cutting I was just trying to look at. Cause,
well, I have the booklet. They made a report. I know that a chappie called Dilks.
Yeah, they were on holiday, quotes, in Spain, weren't they? Because they couldn't go officially as, you know...
They were delivering money from the national...
Yeah, of course they were. They were supporting miners in Spain.
Yeah.
And this press cutting...
Asturias. Press
cutting reports General Franco as being a little bit upset about these miners who were coming, stirring up trouble.
Well, the 3 of them that went produced a booklet.
Yeah.
And I don't doubt Lester wrote it. I think one of the chaps, if memory Dilk, they was from the northern coalfields, 3 men.
Yeah.
And they wrote this report on a little booklet, and I've still got it at home. So Lester Magness, at some period around the early 50s, decided that this property had potential, being in the centre of the community.
He's right.
And
He's still right.
One of the things that drove him for it was going to be the headquarters of the St John's Ambulance Brigade.
Oh, really?
St John's Ambulance Brigade is not an insignificant group of people at the pit. They are trained. They're the level of training absolutely amazing.
Well, I can imagine it gets needed at times down the pits.
And we won. We've got this bloody great big rose bowl with one of our lady supporters sat in it.
It used to be in here, didn't it?
Well, I think I know where it is actually. It's in Sheffield Archives in Sheffield.
Yeah,
it needs to come back.
So, having purchased it, the Betteshanger branch owned it.
Right.
And one of the first things they did was provided land. Oh, the one of the St John's Ambulance didn't work out. They never did come here. They built this place.
The hall down the road,
hall down the road that's now gone. The building's up there. But in 1959, 1960, they decided they'd give land here for miners' welfare scheme to build a youth club. And so this land is now, and the ownership of the land was then transferred from the Betteshanger branch NUM to the Betteshanger welfare scheme, of which that's where it remains.
Right, excellent.
If I could just tell you that not only funny that they built a youth club there, and you can see what's happening with it now, this idea these bloody silly beggars playing radio and things like that.
Boys with toys.
We have allotments out there,
Yeah.
and 10 years ago, there was a piece of land sold out there. It's only a small portion of the total land, but it raised something like 360,000 for the Betteshanger welfare scheme.
Yeah.
There's arguments about who actually owned it, but I can tell you, I suppose at least 200,000 have already been spent on welfare facilities. So the insight of Lester Magness, you know, is very important. Malcolm Pitt wrote a book. I was trying to tell Gary, and again I've got a letter. The first treasurer was a chap called Ken Jones, who was the treasurer of Betteshanger branch NUM from 1929 till about 1947, 48. When he retired, he returned to Wales, and he read the book of Malcolm Pitt,
The World on Our Backs.
The World on Our Backs.
Yeah.
And he wrote a letter to me. Again, I've got the copy, and I wouldn't mind you having sight of that. But he does finish up saying, Malcolm Pitt, by the way, was your chairman at Tilmanston, and he'd been bussed in by the CP to Tilmanston. His background was a teacher.
Right.
And he wrote a book, and the book, I think it's a good book. I think it's
fantastic.
a
I thought it was very good.
Yeah.
But Ken Jones, in reading it in Wales, wrote to me about his, you know, and he's saying, well, it wasn't a bad read, he said, but this man's obviously not a miner. Right. You know, the idea that there's a row of ambulances, etc., etc. And then he was, there was a story about the Barnsley men, and he's saying, he's poo-pooing the idea. I knew all the Barnsley men, etc., etc. But he finishes off, and I wish I could give you the real quote. He's saying something like, and he could have mentioned more about Lester Magness, a man of calibre, rare amongst miners, kind of thing.
Right.
This was, that's what I know about Lester Magness.
That's brilliant.
And
I have got, when you next visit, I have got a spare words on your back book.
Nice one.
yeah.
Everybody remembers